Hi there, it's Chloe from the Riverscapes Assessment and Monitoring Laboratory. And in this video, I'm going to be demonstrating how to apply scale-based sizing to point geometry in ArcGISPro. So let's start with this layer here, which has no zoom-based or scale-based sizing applied. I'm pretty satisfied with how the layer looks at this zoomed out scale. You could check your scale in bottom left, by the way. However, in the contents pane, the size of my points is pretty small, makes it harder to tell what color each of the classes are. So that could be addressed. And then also, as I zoom in, the points get smaller and smaller and smaller. And they basically disappear, which is not ideal. So using scale-based sizing can address all of these issues. The first step I'm going to do is using this more drop down, I'm going to format all symbols and I'm going to set point size 6. So you can see in our contents pane, now our points are bigger. It's easier to tell what color each class is, but now on the map, the points are huge. So let's go into an individual class, and you can see that there's this option, enable scale-based sizing. Unfortunately, you cannot do scale-based sizing in this format all symbols pane. That just makes your job a little bit more tedious. So I'm going to enable scale-based sizing, and it brings up this line with different tick marks on it that represent different map scales. So far left side, the most zoomed out scale is 1 to 100 million, and then most zoomed in is 1 to 1,000. So let's add some more tick marks. I like to add 4, so there's 6 total, and then you can click and hold to adjust them along this slider. So I'm going to move this one to 1 to 10,000, 1 to 50,000, 1 to 100,000, and 1 to 500,000. Then starting from the left side, we can set a point size for each scale, or each tick mark. So these sizes that I'll demonstrate now are what I've settled on, what I think looks nice for our IGOs at the Huck 10 scale. But if you're creating symbology for maybe our IGO scrape projects that display things on like the Huck 6 scale, this sizing will probably be different. But for IGOs on the Huck 10 scale, this is what I like to do. So at 1 to 100 million, change point size to 1. 1 to 500,000, change it to 2. 1 to 100,000 will be 3. 1 to 50,000 will be 4. 1 to 10,000 will be 8. And 1 to 1,000 will be 10. And I will hit apply to apply these changes. And you can see these white points here have become smaller. So I'm going to demonstrate that one more time, and then this layer already has everything applied, so we can see how that looks. Again, enable scale-based sizing. We'll add 4 more tick marks. 1 to 10,000, 1 to 50,000, 1 to 100,000, and 1 to 500,000. And then starting from the left side, point size would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and 10. And then, of course, apply. So let's turn this layer off and look at this layer that already has scale-based sizing for all of the classes. So this looks pretty similar to how it looked right at the very beginning. Happy with the point size at this zoomed out level, and as I zoom in, points stay visible. So I'm really happy with that. Sometimes you'll want different point sizes for different classes, so we can look at this layer, which has the same sizes for most of the classes except for this 0% class, which has the points become much smaller. And they continue to be smaller as you zoom in. Let's look at the values. So I kept the same scale at the most zoomed out scale. Point size is 0.5. 1 to 500,000, it is 1. To 100,000, it's 1.5. 50,000, 2. 10,000, 4. 1,000, 6. If I were to go about developing something like this again, I would suggest you keep these same positions or scales for the tick marks and start at the 1 to 100,000 level. So that's, I can see my map scale is 1 to 150,000 right now. So it's pretty similar to 1 to 100,000. And set your point size so at this zoom level, you're satisfied with the way it looks. Then I would move on to the 1 to 10,000 level. So we can zoom into that and choose how big you want your points to be at this size. That'll give you good indicator of what your sizes are going to be, and then you can adjust them downwards for the more zoomed out scales and find an in-between value for this and an even bigger value for the most zoomed in scale. One last thing I'd like to add is that before, when switching between tick marks, the size here would not be saved, and so you'd have to apply your changes before switching to the next tick mark. That's not the case anymore, but in the past, that was how Arc worked. And so I would use this auto apply toggle to automatically apply the new point size before switching to the different scales. So if you notice that happening, that as you switch between scales, if you look back, your work hasn't been saved, then try using this auto apply toggle, and that will make the process go a little bit quicker. Other than that, that is everything I have to share. Hopefully this is helpful for you to make very nice looking maps that size points dynamically in ArcGISPro.